kindred longevity lifestyle designers. This is Gavin here of secretsoflongevity.com. My previous video was a video on female breast health and exercises you can do to improve the overall health, but also, interestingly enough, it's actually able to increase size slightly. Some women I've taught this to have noticed like 1 size increase or even 2 size increases from doing these exercises on a daily basis and sticking with it. But there's also the factor of the breasts lifting and becoming more supple and the tissues being tighter and rejuvenating, essentially. That's what the last video is about. I highly recommend checking it out here if you want to review that, or if you haven't seen it yet, definitely watch that one first, because that's the more important stuff to do here from what I'm recommending for female breast health. And that actually also lends itself to reproductive health and fertility and uterine health as well. Now, the dietary and herbal aspects of things I'm going to talk about in this video can definitely go along with that. However, there's going to be sort of 2 different approaches here. If you are just watching this series for the breast enhancement ideas that are in this, by all means do so. I would highly not recommend doing any of these herbal things that are specific for breast health if you're under 17, because you don't want to be working with herbs that balance hormones, because your hormones are not what they're going to typically be once you're finished puberty. And I also wouldn't recommend doing this, at least the breast enhancement herbal side of things, if you're past late age. So if you're over 35, might not be the best thing to do. If you're past 40, again, not the best thing to do, because you might possibly be increasing your risk for breast cancer, because some of these herbs raise estrogen, and earlier on in your life that can be a healthy thing. But as you get closer to menopause, it actually increases your risk for lumps and things like that you definitely do not want to subject yourself to, as well as cancers in other parts of the body. Estrogen dominance, a high estrogen load, can definitely factor into feeding a wide variety of cancers. So the first main principle we are going to address is that women who want to have healthy breasts and full breasts need to be very particular in their dietary approach to not go too low in their fat consumption. So obviously we know the breasts are made of fat, and it's not that fat puts on body fat. I would even recommend, in some cases, depending on what your unique constitution is, not going too low carb either, because you want your body to be healthy and plump. I don't mean plump like overweight, but women's ideas today of what's healthy is different from what actually is healthy. If you look at the ideal of what men are actually attracted to, from studies, we know that it's the hourglass figure. It's not the model figure, the rail, thin, extremely low body fat percentage, very extremely small, tiny breasts. So, I mean, everyone has their preferences. I'm not saying that that's going to be a bad thing in all cases. But if we're looking at health in terms of your hormonal health, and also if you're wanting to add size to your breasts, but also health of the breasts, you don't want to be doing something that's going to be eating up the fat throughout your body, including the breasts. So you look at female bodybuilders who get really cut, and they're trying to get these, I'm going to say, masculinized physiques, and if that's your goal, by all means go for it. But you can't go have the best of both worlds. That's why female bodybuilders and really high-level female athletes, if they want to have larger breasts, they get breast implants. If you look at people, obviously, like Marilyn Monroe is the one everyone talks about. She was very curvy and was gorgeous. Someone that I've been looking at recently and that I can think of from sort of pop culture would be Joanne on the show Mad Men, if you've ever watched that. She's the redhead, and she's got a really great figure. And essentially, if you look at the figures of women from different dietary paths, people that get on really strict dietary regimens, you tend to see the most restrictive, lowest in fat, tend to be the thinnest, most unhealthy looking women. No offense to anyone that likes that look. Like, there's people who are attracted to extremely obese people, both men and women. There's people who are attracted to extremely thin men and women. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But to actually have a healthy desire, one based on seeing health in someone, you're going to enjoy seeing certain curves on a woman. So we're looking for women a range of between 14 and 20%, maybe even a little higher than 20% at the upper region of that. And that's percentage of body fat. For men, it's going to be around 6 to 13%. And that's just the differences between the sexes. So men can have that cut look a lot easier than women in terms of muscle striations and lower body fat percentage overall without the detrimental effects that come with it for women when they lower the body fat percentage too much, because then the breast tissue starts deflating literally, and also problems can occur with the hormones, with female hormones and fertility, the menstrual cycle. They can start having symptoms of amenorrhea, which is when the period or menstruation actually stops. That's fairly common in really strict raw vegan women sometimes. And this is not a sign of health. This isn't your body, you doing something with your body with deep meditation and actually getting it to stop or slow down its output, because that can occur too, as you saw in the video. I talked about that. This is actually your body going to nutrient deficiencies and holding back menstruating and essentially being fertile because you're so deficient. And there's people out there actually saying this is a good thing. It's not. It's not at all. Do not go down that path. So the main thing I'm recommending for food-wise is to simply don't go on extreme caloric restriction. Don't do too much. Even someone sent me a link recently comparing intermittent fasting for men and women, and it seems to be something that a lot of men can do, but women, there's actually a portion of women that simply cannot do intermittent fasting very well. They get, like I'm saying, these hormonal issues, menstrual issues. There's a lot of things that can crop up from it, because if you actually think of it evolutionarily, women would have been in a more centralized group, whereas men would be out fighting for territory or hunting. They'd have to eat at the end of the day, so they're in a more intermittent fasting state, whereas women would have the ease and ability to eat more consistently throughout the day. So for overall way you eat for breast health, consistent meals, not calorie restricting, don't be doing any of these fad diets. If you need to keep yourself toned and exercise and eat healthy food, when you're eating healthy food that's right for your unique constitution, whole foods, including animal foods, grass-fed, pasture-raised meats, etc., your body's going to find the right proportions for you, even if it is very thin, even if it is 21 to 23% body fat, whatever it happens to be. And if we were to start talking about specific foods, some of the best ones as a woman, if you're growing, is to have dairy in your diet growing up. So this is something actually you can do if you're younger, of course. Healthy amount of dairy products. We're talking about raw, pasture-raised dairy products as well. You can check out this link here if you don't know about the benefits and differences between what I'm recommending and have always recommended, is pasture-raised organic raw dairy, and the difference between that and factory-farmed, hormonally altered, hybridized dairy, which has been homogenized and all these horrible things that make it quite detrimental to the body. So in dairy, you actually have hormonal effects from the dairy itself, which will increase breast growth. You'll have the increase of growth hormones, IGF-1 actually, which will both help your growth as you're growing up as a teenager, or in your early adulthood, you're going to have the extra growth from that. There's growth factors in it. Then you have the fact that it's a fairly good balance of fats, sugars, and protein. So you're getting a bit of everything in there. Now, of course, just eating a lot of foods, a variety of foods, greens, and all these things for a healthy diet is going to help the health of your breast tissue. But there's some other really good superfoods you could add in to help from the hormonal side of things. A really popular one nowadays is goji berries, and that's because it has a number of factors in it. It's good for building the blood, which a lot of women need in addition to their diet as well anyways. But also is unique in that it's the only food that's recognized as an HGH secretagogue. That means it actually stimulates your pituitary gland to secrete more human growth hormone, which, you think of growth, what are you trying to do with your body? You're trying to grow something. So foods that increase growth, increase the output of these anabolic hormones are going to be beneficial for that. So goji berries, raw dairy, colostrum is a great one. You have a lot of growth factors in there. You can check out in the links below. Great sites are Thrival, which carries colostrum, some other foods and herbs and things that have growth factors in them, like elk antler. All these things are great for female health as well as male health equally. And so all these things I've recommended up to this point are good for anyone of any age, male or female. But again, if you're a female looking for these benefits or just overall breast health, all of these things are great. Now, these next few things I'm going to mention, I would only use if you're over 17 as a woman. Probably not a good idea to use them if you're a man, unless you're looking to alter yourself in some way. One of them is an herbal formula from Mountain Rose Herbs that contains Vitex. I've got some links below. which contain that, as well as some other herbs like black cohosh and some other ones that are slightly estrogenic, like licorice root. Again, you don't want to use these if you're past 35 and not if you're younger than 17, somewhere in there. It's going to be very balancing to your overall menstrual cycle as well. So that Vitex herb in there, you could always use Vitex on its own as well, but with a host of other herbs it's going to be even better. Vitex, also known as chasteberry, is known for increasing progesterone. So everything I'm talking about in this video is for the specific purpose of raising or balancing any of the following hormones. Estrogens, there's 3 or more different types of estrogen in both men and women, obviously higher in women. Progesterone, that's a really key one, and that one is very good to have at a higher level. But you don't want to be taking progesterone cream if you're premenopausal, unless you're working with a practitioner that can instruct you exactly on how to do that. But progesterone and estrogens obviously can help promote breast tissue growth. Then you have prolactin, which is a bit of a stress hormone. Definitely as a man you don't want to be producing that because it's going to encourage breast tissue growth, but it does it in women as well. That's the one that starts preparing your body for breastfeeding. Then of course things like human growth hormone, IGF-1, and these other growth factors. Now another great thing that you can add in, and this is really easy, you can buy the seeds online and sprout them, is fenugreek. Whether you consume the whole fenugreek vegetable, you can slice that up, it's got a licoricey type flavor. It's easily steamed and turned into dishes or cooked alongside other things. Or you can take the seeds, like I've said, are in the links below, and you can sprout them. They're a pretty tasty sprout. You can sprout them short, like just 2 or 3 days, and they just have like a little white tail, and you can eat the whole seed, and the tail has a bit of a funny taste that way, I find, but if you let it sprout till it's a green sprout, and you can do this in a jar. Often I mix it when I have done it in the past, although I don't touch fenugreek now that I know what it actually does. Something that's probably not the best thing for men. If you sprout a mix of it with the fenugreek, because they are a little bigger than the salad sprouts like broccoli or alfalfa, it's a little thicker, but it's not quite as thick as a sunflower sprout, so you don't do it on soil, on a tray. You do them in a jar. So I've got a video here if you want to check out how to do soil sprouts, and you simply take those seeds, put a few in the bottom, 1 to 2 tablespoons total of seeds in a 1 to 1.5 liter mason jar. You let them soak for 12 hours, then rinse them with a mesh over the lid of the jar, and then you just simply rinse them twice a day for up to a little over a week. So the compound in fenugreek is dioxygenin, which is an estrogenic compound. It stimulates estrogen production in the body. So again, this isn't something you want to take if you are at risk of breast cancer, if you're older. You don't want to consume too much of this, but again, this is great for breast health at an earlier stage in life, whether it's looking at that age from 17 to 35-ish. It should also go without saying, I probably meant to mention it in the last video around breast exercises, but appropriate in this video too, is to cut out toxic deodorants. Personally, I haven't worn deodorant in ages. I don't really get people complaining about smell unless I've worn the same shirt and for some reason I wasn't aware that it was a smelly shirt. And that's just because of the bacteria that collects on dried sweat. But if I have a clean shirt, my armpits don't smell because I eat a clean diet. And even though I consume animal foods, my body odor is fine. If you have a toxic body, yes, you might have an issue with odor. So get your health in order and start going a little more natural. Obviously there's some natural deodorants out there you can use as well. By and large, antiperspirants are toxic because the way they work is they plug up your sweat glands in the armpits. And what happens when you plug something up? It backs up. So you have the whole lymph system that drains out your armpit that you're plugging up, and if you're doing that day in and day out, think of what happens. You've got toxins building up in there, you combine that with a bra, and those toxins are building up in the breast tissue. And they get driven into the cells, and if you're going to start making changes, incorporating the breast exercises is what's going to stimulate the lymph flow and start moving these things out, get sweating, consume detoxifying foods like a lot of greens in your diet, and you're well on your way to better breast health. One other factor that definitely could have been in the first video because it's a physical exercise, but I just forgot about it, is toning the pectoral muscles. So you can think that if you have weak and sagging muscles or just hardly any musculature at all, the tissue on your chest is going to be sagging. So you tone that up through push-ups, sun salutations if you're into yoga, weight exercises, martial arts, whatever it is you do. you need to build up the pectoral muscles a little bit. Don't worry, you're not going to get suddenly the V shape as a bodybuilder unless you're doing a lot of chin-ups and rows with heavy weight and doing the proper bodybuilding approach. So just having strong pec muscles isn't going to give you some crazy muscular form, so don't be concerned about that. Be concerned about having a healthy chest and having a shapely chest, and that's something definitely you should work on as a weekly, even bi-weekly basis, is some sort of chest exercise if this is something you want to improve upon. So let me know what you thought in the comments below about all these recommendations around diet and herbs. I know a lot of my viewers are male, but they can definitely pitch in too. Or if you're male, go ahead and share this video with a friend that you know is looking for this kind of thing. Don't do it as a sign of you trying to let them know about something, because that obviously wouldn't fly over too well. But also, rate the video if you feel so inclined, and again, check out those links below for the products I mentioned in the video. With that, take care and embrace life without limits.